Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Denise. I'm also known as heywigsister on Instagram and Facebook. Today I'm here to bring you a tutorial. I have promised that I would show you how to cut the cheap Amazon headband wig that I reviewed a few weeks ago. It is a wig from Sapphire Wigs. I purchased this on Amazon for about $25 or so on Prime. And I actually purchased it in this color, and I practiced cutting it and thinning it, and then I purchased a new one so that I could do a tutorial video and show you guys what I did. And the bonus is you get to see it in two colors. So if you want to know more and want to see how I cut and thin a cheap headband wig so that maybe you can do it too, then stick around and I will walk you through everything. Okay, so before we get to the tutorial, I want to just give you guys a quick look at the two colors that I have, because that sometimes is one of the hardest decisions to make. So I have, this one is the original one that I reviewed. I will link that review in the description. This one is the color Mix Brown. That's what it's called on Amazon. And it is basically a beautiful, and I've been tossing it around and playing with it so it looks a little messy, but you guys, these fibers are amazing. I mean, look at, there's some slight tangles, but nothing serious. I cannot believe how nice these fibers are for the price. I'm just so impressed with these. But anyway, so Mix Brown is a beautiful chocolatey, medium dark brown with auburn highlights running throughout. But it's not really red overall. It's just a gorgeous, rich brown. So pretty. And then the one I bought that I will be using today is in the color Natural Brown Highlight. And that's this one. Fibers feel the same, so soft, so silky, so smooth. And you watch me run my fingers through this. And this is pretty much out of the packaging. It's just so awesome. And so this one is much more auburn. I would say this is a medium auburn overall. It has some lighter auburn highlights, but it is definitely more of an auburn in general. So here they are side by side. Mix Brown, Natural Brown Highlight. So pretty. I'm just so excited. I actually reached out to Sapphire Wigs. They are on Instagram, and I asked them if they would be interested in partnering with me to maybe do some more reviews of their pieces. And if you guys want to see these headband wigs in some other colors, leave it in the comments, because I'm going to tag them, or I'm going to send them a link to this review. And if they see that there's huge interest in seeing more of these in other colors, maybe they'll send me some. And if they do, I will do giveaways, because I do not need all of these headband wigs. So whatever they send me to show the color, I will give it away. So leave the comments, blow up those comments, letting me know if you'd like to see more of these headband wigs in other colors. All right, let me get set up and then we'll get started. So I'm going to give you a lowdown of everything that I have here that I'm going to use. I will link everything that I can in the description, any product I show. And I will warn you, this may be a longer video because these tutorials, I can make it shorter by speeding a lot of it up, but I get comments all the time from wig sisters that that's too hard to follow. So if you don't need as much detail as I'm going to provide, just hit if you're on a mobile device, just double tap over to the right and it will skip ahead 10 seconds for every double tap. So you don't have to watch every little bit of this if you do the best I can. So let me tell you the tools that we're going to use here in this tutorial. First of all, a canvas blockhead. If you are going to be a wig wearer full-time or regularly or forever, I highly recommend that you invest in a canvas blockhead. They're not super expensive. If you're going to be doing any styling modifications, it can be invaluable. You can use a regular mannequin head, you can use a foam head, you can get creative and create your own method of setting a wig on something, but the benefit to this is it's sturdy and it comes in sizes. So I got the 22 because I have a 22-inch circumference. Especially if you're going to be cutting wigs, I think finding something that's as close to your head size as possible is going to be super beneficial. It's already a challenge to cut on a mannequin head and then have it look the exact same on you, because wigs lay differently on whatever you're putting them on, which will impact the cut, the layering, all of it. So getting one of these is so helpful. And I have a tripod that I set it on. I'm not madly in love with this tripod. I think it works fine. It was super cheap, 20 some dollars, I think. And, but it works great for my videos. But let me show you one other thing I just recently purchased, and I love this thing. It's a tabletop tripod, and the mannequin head fits right on this. I love this because it's easy to store. It's fairly sturdy, not super. I mean, this is a little more sturdy, but for curling hair, for trimming hair, for styling your hair on a mannequin head, this thing works amazing. I just set it on the table, and then I can kind of do it anywhere that I am. The next thing, if you're going to go this route, is you might want to purchase some T-pins. They just look like a little T, because then you can pin your wig to the canvas head. I have a new method though. I have been using a wig grip on my canvas head. It works amazing, and I don't need to use T-pins. So either T-pins or a wig grip to hold your wig on the head securely. And then you need your tools for doing the cutting. So I am going to be using a straight scissors, potentially a thinning shears. I'll kind of see what will work the best for me. And this razor right here, potentially, this is my #1 tool that every wig wearer should have, is one of these razor comb things. I talk about it in tons of videos. It is wonderful for trimming up bangs, for creating little wispies and an updo. Invaluable. I use it all the time. A rat tail comb. It is helpful to have the rat tail section to section out your hair. Some sort of way to clip the hair up. So I just have these alligator clips that I got from Lange when I purchased a couple of Lange heat tools, or just any kind of a clip. Claw clips, whatever will work for you, any kind of a clip. I really like these because they're easy to slide in, but you'll want some way to section out the hair. And then your wide tooth comb, and pretty much I think that's it for the tools that you'll need to start working on your wig. I'm going to be quite far away from you guys in the very beginning until I get some of this length handled, then I can move closer to the camera. I forgot to tell you what wig I have on though. This is Ellen Villa Desire in the color Sandy Blonde Rooted. It is a short, fully hand-tied cap. I love, love, love this. All right, so the very first thing, you want to comb out your wig very well. You don't want any tangles. Now this is brand new and it's just gorgeous. I mean, oh my gosh, you guys, look at how, just like butter. It's so nice. So you want to make sure you've combed out any tangles. Now, because this has so much hair, I mean, it's super, super thick and long, I'm going to start by shortening the length. Make sure that your block is straight. That's the one thing I struggle with this particular setup, is this likes to tilt, and no matter how much I tighten, it doesn't like to stay straight. So that's my caution. I mean, I'm happy I have this, but I constantly have to be reassessing if this is moved. You can see it shifts just a little bit. That doesn't happen on the tabletop one. I just really don't have anywhere to film with that tabletop. If you're new to this, I really recommend you start out with a wavy or curly piece if you're going to be thinning and cutting. A lot more forgiving than a straight style. You're really going to see unevenness and choppiness in a straight style in a way you will not see in a wavy and a curly piece. So I need to give you that caution, because when I practiced on the original, that was one thing I noticed, is it was just tilted and my cut was kind of angled. Okay, I turned up the lighting a little bit because I'm so far away. It might seem really bright, but I really want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I'll adjust that as I get closer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the hair into two. Like I said, I'm trying to get to a manageable length. Then I'll start really managing layers. And this is so long, I think it'll give you a little bit of, like, you can cut a little bit, maybe not as much as you are hoping to cut off, but just to get a feel for what you're doing. That's the benefit of this being so super long. So I'm just going to gather the hair, and I'm just going to chop off probably about right here, and I'm just going to hack off the length. Just like when people donate their hair for like locks of love, they put it in a ponytail and they hack that off. That's what I'm doing right here. So that's the length that I cut off initially. And that's where we're at with it. And then I'm just going to drop this other side down, and I'm just going to try the best that I can to match up. So I don't have as much cleanup to do. So what I'm going to do, and I can see it's a little angled, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually just going to take little sections of this part, and I'm going to take a little bit of my original so that I can have a template for where I need to cut. And then that way, so I'll just kind of go like this. I don't know if you can see me. I'm holding it, and I've got some of the shorter pieces in here so that I can just cut that length similar, just like that. You don't have to do it this way. If you don't mind having some extra cleanup to get it all even, just get it to a manageable length. That's really the goal of this first step here. Something like that. It's not perfect, but it gets me closer to where I need to be. And some of these front hairs didn't get in with the back, so I'm just going to turn it. See how this front section, I don't know if you can see that, is longer right here. I'm just going to turn the mannequin head, and I'm just going to get some of that out of there. And so that's where we're at. See how much, like, I can move a lot closer now to you guys because I've got it a more manageable length. This may not be my final length, but it's where I'm starting. Caution. Please put the wig on your head and determine where to start cutting. Don't make an assumption with it on the mannequin head. It is not going to lay on you the same. No matter how close that canvas head is to your head, it's not going to lay the same on you. I recommend that you start with it on your head and then maybe cut a little piece off. So maybe have it on your head, look to see where you want it, cut that little piece to get it there, and then use that piece as the template for the rest. Okay, now, depending on how you're going to wear this wig, that actually may be all you want to do. If you're just going to put it in messy updos and you're never going to see these ends really because they're going to be all swirled up in the messy updo, maybe all you need to do is cut off the length. So I recommend once you get that initial length off, you put it on your head and you see where you're at. Always go slow, always pause and assess, because you can't undo anything that you do. So that might be my recommendation, because honestly, I think this doesn't look too bad. I just think it will look weird in a ponytail. So if you're going to be wearing ponytails a lot, then I recommend once you get some cuts done, you take it off, you put it up in a ponytail however you want to wear it, and then you see how that ponytail lays. Sometimes when you cut across like I just did, you get this really weird bluntness to the ends and it doesn't look great in a ponytail. So that is, think about how you're going to wear this. That will help to dictate what you're going to do, how you're going to manage what what you need to do. And after every little thing that you do, make sure you comb through it. Now we're ready to move on to the next step. So what I want to do is I want to take a little bit of the bulk out of this. To me, this is just really thick and heavy, and it is hard to put into an updo because of that. Even though it's going to be much easier when it's shorter, I still want a little bit less bulk in here. So that's our next step. So what you want to do is you want to get into the wig and start pulling up the hair and leave. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at these wefts. Wefted wigs are great for this. They're so much easier than hand-tied caps because you can work on individual wefts. So I'm taking the hair, and this is where a rat tail comb will come in handy. This is so much hair. It can be a real challenge to kind of separate it out. So I'm going through, and I have decided this is the weft I want to work on. And I'm just pulling out, I'm pulling up the hair and making sure all the hair for that weft is down and everything above it is up. And I'm just going to clip it. Just going to use it. All right, so now we've got just this section down here. Now this is also a technique that you would use if you want to cut it in layers. You don't want to do a cut straight across, or you feel the need to even up. At that point, what you're going to do is you're going to separate it out and then start evening out. I'll show you that in a little bit. I want to thin it before I even it up. So what do we do now? So I pulled that out, and now I've still got wefts underneath. This isn't the bottom weft. And now what I want to do is I just want to cut some of the hair from just this weft. Let me see if I can show you what I mean. Let me lift this camera just slightly. So what I have here is a weft. Do you see what I mean? There's a weft underneath. This one's on that one. I want to just trim off the hair up at the cap. And that's going to take this little bit out. That will help to start debulking it. So I'm just going to go all the way up to the weft. I'm not going to cut into the cap. And I'm just going to cut this hair off. Be cautious not to cut into the cap. There you go. And now I've cut all the way up. Can you see that? Now, the reason why I'm doing it this way is because I don't want any of that hair left to add just the tiniest bit of bulk in that. So I'm just going to go across. Now, you don't have to cut all the hair on this one weft. On some of the more expensive ready-to-wear wigs like John Renault and Estetica and Renee of Paris and all of those wigs, you might do every other. So this is one long weft, but sometimes on those, the wefts are small, and there's like the small weft, they're in a line, but they're individual wefts. You could go every other. Whatever will allow you to get closer to your goal without doing too much that you can't get back makes sense. But on this one, because it has so much hair, I am very comfortable cutting this entire weft. The hair, not the weft. If I cut the weft, I damage the cap. I would pause, assess. That's not very much hair. I really didn't cut that much off. It's not likely enough to really thin this wig, but that's a start. Now, what I would do is I would drop the hair down. I'm having a hot flash, you guys. I'm going to need to pause this video. I'm going to stand in front of a fan. That is why I wore short hair today. All right, so we're going to comb this out. Now, there's a few little tangles in this because it's just so long, and when I gather it all up, but not bad, you guys. I mean, really not bad. This was such a good find. I'm just thrilled to have found such a budget-friendly headband wig. Okay, so now that I would want to go back in. So now what I want to do is I want to pull that weft above it down, and then the weft above that. I don't want to cut the next weft up. I want to skip a weft and then go back to the next one, and then I'll cut there. You don't want to cut two wefts in a row because that can create a big gap, especially in a cheap wig like this. The wefting is really far apart compared to ready-to-wear wigs. You don't want to create a gap like that. So that's the next step. Pull it down, comb it out, go 2 wefts above or even 3 wefts above, and cut again if you feel you need to do more thinning. So that is the safest way to thin a wig. Okay, we're getting there, you guys. Now let's talk about evening out the length. And then I'm going to do one last little thinning technique once I've got it where I want it to be as far as length. So I've separated out the hair because it's the easiest way to make sure that it's even. This is where I tell you guys, make sure your mannequin head is straight, that it's not cocked to the side or a little bit uneven, because that will result in an uneven cut. It's also where I tell you stand straight onto the wig so you see what you're doing. I'm not going to be able to do that, so please show me some grace. If this is a little uneven, it's just because I'm to the side and I'm not skilled enough. A skilled hairdresser would be able to do that. I'm not. But it's still going to give you a sense of maybe a technique to use. Again, I want to say this again. I am not skilled. I am not a professional. This is how I am doing this based on my abilities. There's lots of other ways to do these things. I urge you to watch other tutorials, get advice from others. I'm just giving you a place to start, and I'm also just trying to encourage you. You can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. I know that's such an overused cliche, but it just is so true. I'm not any better than you. I'm probably a lot worse than most of you guys at this kind of thing. And I'm braving it, and I'm plowing in because I want to be a successful wig wearer, and I want to be a little self-sufficient at it. So that's why I want to do these and why I want to show you. All right, so we're going to start. And again, make sure you've combed. And now that I'm straightening it out, I want to use not a wide tooth comb. I want to use a more narrow comb because I want to make sure it's very even and there's no chance that there's tangles. Typically, you don't use combs like this on especially heat-friendly synthetic because it's a lot of friction on the wig, but for just the styling that we're doing today, I think that's okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with this section right here. And this hair is going to confuse me, so let me get it out of the way. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a section, and I'm so uncoordinated. I know a lot of good hairstylists can like hold the comb and hold their scissors, and I can't do that. So, and now I'm just going to pull it down, and I'm going to just create myself a template that I can follow now when I go throughout the whole wig. So I'm just going to go like this, and I'm just going to cut. Just a nice straight cut right at my fingertips. So now I can use that for the next section. So I'll go to the next section, I'll comb through it, I'll pull it down, I'll see my shorter. Can you kind of see? This is my template right here. It's shorter than this piece right here. So I'm going to have them both in my finger. I really hope you guys can see what I'm doing. And now I'm just going to go across and I'm going to even them up. I'm not super good at this, but that's the idea. So then I'm going to continue to do that all the way across the bottom. I'll grab the next section and a little bit of that second section I just cut because I need it as my guide. And so I'm going to pull it through, and then I'm just going to cut. And so on and so forth. And I'm going to do that all the way across the bottom, and then I'll lay down the next layer. I'll show you that when I get there. I finished that bottom section, and then I laid down a few more wefts, and now I'm going to go with the next section. You can use as thick of sections as you want to. You can skip this part altogether. Like I said in the beginning, it depends on how you're going to wear your wig, how important this part of it is. If all you're ever going to do is a messy updo, you really probably don't need to go to this extent of getting it evened out. Maybe you start with what I first showed you, wear it in an updo for a while, and then maybe you decide you want to wear it down or in a ponytail, and then you come back in and you even it out. So I'm just letting you know that there's lots of ways to do this. This is just, for me, what I believe to be the safest way to teach you if you don't know what you're doing. So now I laid down the next layer, and now I've got to find my shorter pieces on the bottom. So when I pull this out, I can see, I don't know how I'm going to get you guys to see it, but I can see that there's shorter pieces on the underside because that's where I cut. So I'm just going to have to pull this through and trim it up even with those shorter pieces, just like I just did. And then I'll have my new template that I can use when I go all the way across. Couple of warnings for you guys. If you have really sharp scissors, be really careful. When you're new at this, it is super easy to cut your fingers. I have done that many times. So it may be smarter, instead of pulling it all the way down like that, maybe leave yourself more room. It'll be less precise likely, but you won't be as close to your fingers. And I would stop before you get to the very end, because, hold on, my phone is ringing. I got to turn it off. Because it's easy to cut into the palm of your hand. You just don't have the sense of it like you will get as you get more experience. So just be really careful. I've cut my fingers so many times because I've been going too fast, not paying enough attention. So now I'll go through and I'll do exactly what I just showed you on this layer, and so on. Switch sides on you guys, because I'm going to show you one last thing. But I want to tell you that I did take the top layer down, and I followed the same technique that I've been following this whole time. I just didn't film it. I got to straighten out my mannequin head. I've been having to do this quite frequently to make sure it's straight. I figured this video is so long, I'm sure already, because, you know, I've been doing a lot. So you didn't need to see me do that top layer. So now, for you, this might be good enough. I think the ends look very good. They're very straight. You might just leave it like this. I want to soften up these ends just a little bit more. So I'm just going to go in with just a little bit of point cutting and texturize those ends just a little bit. So I'm just going to demonstrate. I'm not going to do it in a really systematic manner because I'm not great at this. This is the one thing I'm not very good at. Well, I'm not very good at any of this. I'm just practicing and learning. But this is the thing that I think can help, but I'm sure I need technique improvement. But so basically, you're just going to take some of the hair, and then you're just going to sort of hold it out, and then you're just going to kind of point cut into it with the point of the scissors. So you're not doing a blunt cut. You're just sort of point cutting in. Be very cautious not to cut into your hand. And then, so just kind of go through like that. So, you know, start on one side and then work your way around. I probably should have started in the back, but so that you don't overcut an area. But I would just take some of it and then I would sort of hold it out. Now, the thing I've seen professionals do this really close to their fingers. I do not recommend that until you get good at this. I've cut my fingers doing this more times than I can count. So it's not, like I said, it's not going to be as precise, but that's okay. I'm just going to hold it, and I'm just going to go in and sort of just point cut, and then I sort of look to see how it looks, and if it looks nice and texturized like I'm looking for, then I consider that a success, and I'm done with that section. So then I'll just go in to another section, and I'm not layering out this hair. You certainly could do that as well. And I'm just going to hold it again, and I'm going to point cut into it. Bearing in mind my finger back here that's folded in, so I don't like go in and cut my knuckle. See that little texturized end? And then just all the way throughout the whole thing. So I'm not really cutting any meaningful length off of it. I'm just sort of texturizing those ends. So this one, I haven't cut yet. It's not perfectly blunt, but it's, you know, a little bit more even. So I'm just going to go in, and now it's a little bit more texturized. And so on and so forth throughout the whole piece. Just try to be mindful of where you've already been. You could go through this and comb it, you know, each section as you grab it, like I showed you on the other ones. a little more texturized, and so on and so forth. All right, so I finished that. Final kind of touch up is just to go through and look at the ends and look and see if there's any significant pieces that you feel like you missed. For example, this piece right here, I feel like it's just a little bit too long, so I'm just going to go in and I'm going to more point cut just up into it and try to remove any of those longer pieces that I feel like maybe I missed. Now, if you wanted layers in this, which I'm not going to show in this video, I'm not good at that, but what you could do is you could take some of the hair, comb it and kind of pull it out at an angle. I can't even barely demonstrate it. And then kind of cut up at an angle, which will then, when you drop it down, will create a layer. I'm not good at that. Another thing that you could do, and I will do this sometimes just to give it a little bit of an added texturizing, is I'll go through with my scissors and I'll just sort of, let me see, I don't know if I can demonstrate it from this side. Let me go over here. I'll go through and I'll just kind of, I'll sort of shear it down like this. I'm not really cutting, I'm just sort of shearing down on it. This is a dangerous thing to do if you're not good with scissors, because you could accidentally snip it and then you'll cut a huge chunk off of it. So I think for now, this is probably good enough. For those of you watching this video who don't have a lot of experience with this, I think this is something, what I've shown you today, I really think you can do this. There's some more advanced techniques that I'm not really good at that you can aspire to. But for now, I really think that this is going to get you at least started. So let's summarize this. First of all, make sure you have sharp scissors. It's so hard to work with these wigs if your scissors are dull. Synthetic fibers will dull your scissors very fast. So don't spend $80 on a pair of shears. You don't need the high-end, super expensive scissors for synthetic wigs. I will link the one I have. It's working just fine. Just expect that after a couple of maybe 2-3 times, you might find they're starting to get dull. That is why professional hairstylists won't use their super $100, $150, I don't even know how much they are. I know they're very expensive shears on synthetic wigs, because it just dulls them, and you don't necessarily want to do that with nice scissors. But if you just want to grab your scissors that you have in the junk drawer that you use to cut up pieces of paper and things like that, I wouldn't recommend it. I just think you need sharp scissors to have the best chance of success. It will go a lot faster, and you won't fray those ends with a dull scissors. So that's it, you guys. I hope this will get you started with, if you purchased one of these and you've been waiting for this video, I hope this was everything that you had hoped for and that it really helped. Let me know if you have any questions. Please tell me how this was. Was this helpful? What could I do better in a video like this? I am very inexperienced with these in-depth tutorial videos. I want them to be as good as possible for you guys. I need your feedback though. If I could improve in some way, please tell me how that is, so that I make sure you're getting everything you need from the videos that I put out for you. Thank you so much for watching. Everything I used today is linked in the description. I'll talk to you guys soon.